Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday, January 9th, and this will be our chart lesson for the day. And just a quick look at our daily chart here. You can see we just kind of had an inside day, slightly down from the day before. We traded much lower, but the market rallied some. It's trading a little lower here after the 5 o'clock open again. Uh, this doesn't really amount to much. You can't tell anything by this time of day. So will we turn back? Will we turn back down or will we go higher? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Um, as of now, it looks like we've made a lower high here, but we'll see what tomorrow brings. This thing could still go either way. So let's flip over to our 2000 tick chart. Few more trades today. I had quite a few green ones really, but let's flip over to the other chart, take a look, and go through what we had for the day. Okay, we sold off in the overnight and opened way down here this morning at 8:30, and so there was a large gap that I talked about in the mid-morning update. And once we started trending higher, there's a good chance we're going to fill that gap, which you can see we did. We actually pushed through there for a little bit, came back, tested a few times, and then we really just went sideways the rest of the day. It looked like we were going to sell off strongly here again after filling this gap. But we rallied just as hard again, then sold off, and we just kind of chopped around a lot of mixed trading into the close. So, but we had a good downtrend early, a good uptrend after that. Not a lot of trades on this uptrend just because there weren't many setups again. So there just weren't many options. But we'll zoom in here and we'll go through the trades and we'll wrap this day up. Okay, here's our early morning sell-off. 7 o'clock came just as we're making this high. Notice you got a channel working up. You get a close outside, and you actually get two swings back up to a new high. There is a second entry short there, but no setup. But it breaks higher here and fails and turns down, gives you a lower high. That's a great place to enter. And if you took that one trade, depending on how you played it, you may or may not have got a runner on that one. But if you did get a runner, it's probably all you needed today. And once we made the break and new low, then we just kind of chopped sideways for a while. It looked like we were going to maybe try to make another lower leg down. But we just chopped sideways. There was a triple test here. But I don't like the way that's setting up there. And you can see this next bar didn't really go anywhere. It would have worked. But again, the bias is still a little bit down at this point. We're still below the EMA. You need a better setup than that. Then we run up here to the highs, and we get a little double top. This actually breaks higher, fails. Actually, I'm not sure which way this broke. I'm trying to remember. There were a couple of these type bars today, and I don't remember. I think this broke higher and then turned down. But either way, I don't think you'd want to enter it on the engulfing bar regardless. You got to wait for this to close. It closes really bearish on the other side. I like going short there. You still got plenty of room to get out. It looked like it was going to fail for a little bit, but that's why we hang on and put your stop where it's supposed to go and just wait it out. And if you do, turns out to be a good trade. There's another entry right here. It breaks higher and turns down. But by the time this one closes, there's not room to get out. So you really can't go short there. It's tempting to go long right here. And if you took that, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably say hey, it's a little aggressive. It looks a little congested, but we're way away from the EMA. So the congestion is probably because the momentum swinging here. So I meant to mark that one green. Actually, I think the reason I didn't mark it green was because there's your signal bar, and this is a higher low, so that's why I didn't mark it. So scratch that anyway. There's no setup there because, it's still, you might say, hey, that's close to closing in the top 1/3. But I just think you're better off not to take that trade. If you notice what happens, though, it comes up. We get two legs up, and then you get a new high there, and then you get a first entry, and then a second entry, and it really confirms that trend line, bullish bar. This is almost blue. You could argue for it. It's real close. The reason I marked it green was because it's a little bit congested. It does look like we've gotten back inside the range, and you can see the supports held several times there. So there's a good chance we're going higher. I like that setup. I still made it green, but it's close to being blue. And of course, we fell out the top, but you really can't go short because this green trend line's still in play, and you don't know that it won't bounce right there. It doesn't, but you don't know that. So you do get your break there. You come back here, bounce, you make a higher low, but no setup, and it just runs up to a new high. And then we're trending lower again. I don't see anything here that I'd want to take on a short, and you can't go long yet. But notice you get your break here. Again, it's just really congested. I didn't draw the... You can see there's a definitely a congested sideways range right in there. And so you can't really go, you don't really want to go long yet, but there's no real short there either. So it does break out and fail and go lower, but it makes the new low on the channel, then fails and goes higher. I don't think you want to go long there yet either. If you draw your little trend line right here, you can see it's still in play. Although this is a retest, I usually don't draw it, but you can see it's still in play. And I just think you have to wait. And we actually get back in the range again. It actually widens just a hair there, tick or so. And so there's no entries there still. And then it breaks out, goes higher. And then finally you come back, you get a first entry. And then it goes lower again. And so when it breaks above this bar, this is a second entry. So if it breaks above the bullish bar, go long with it. There's plenty of room to get out before the high there. So I like that one, and it doesn't even come close. It just takes off. So it's no, I mean, you want to have room to get out there, but past that, it doesn't matter anyway. So it looks like we're going to get back in the channel, but then you get another close outside. And all we did was we kind of folded over here in a lighter channel until we get this overshoot up here that also retests this high. And so this overshoot, and notice if you draw this channel right here, you do get a close outside, a push to a new high, and then turn down. And we're way away from the EMA. I like that one. It's a little aggressive because you're trying to pick a top. But I like it if you took it knowing it's aggressive. I think you're okay. Then we shoot down, and we get a first entry, and then it tries to go higher. Then again there fails and turns down. So when it breaks lower, you get a second entry. I don't think you really want to enter on that engulfing bar. It's fairly bullish, but anytime it doesn't have much body, I don't really like to enter on an engulfing bar. So maybe you wait for that one to close. I still like it even though it's right into that low just because we're reversing here. This is right where you would expect it to reverse. We filled the gap, and you can clearly see the trend line, and we actually come back and confirm it there. So I think this is good for a scalp, and maybe we're going to reverse and keep going. And so you would have got a good bit more out of this. You don't really get another chance to enter. There's a hidden second entry here, but the setup's not any good. And you might say, hey, there's a triple test here, but that's a little small inside bar. And then this is too congested, even though there's a second entry there. I think somebody asked me about that trade. I'm not sure if that's it. If not, it looked just like that, but you can't go long right there. It turns out to be a great move, but next time it won't. And because that's not a good setup. It's just not a setup that's consistently going to play in your favor. So don't take that. And of course, we do get the break and move to a new high, and then we get back inside what looks like it's going to be a range again. We try to go higher once, twice. So there's a failure, but you also get a first entry, second entry. As a second entry short, that signal bar wouldn't really qualify. But if you look at it as a failure where you're looking for a reversal, still that far away from the EMA, I think you could, it's a little aggressive. It's a little more advanced really is what it is. So I marked it green. It's probably going to trap people that are trying to get long here because this looks really bullish. And if you don't understand what's going on here, you think it's going to probably keep going higher. And so it traps a bunch of longs, and look at it. You can tell it was a good trap because look how they all have to exit. That's a perfect trap right there. So again, it's a little aggressive. You need to know what you're doing. That's not for everybody, but I like that trade. Um, and then of course you get a true second entry right here, right off the EMA, right off the possible key entry point. And if you didn't take that, or even if you did, if you wanted, you could enter here as well. It gives you a lower high right here. It breaks higher and fails and turns down. We've already seen that once over here, so it's kind of like a repeat pattern. And it doesn't go very far. It's good for a scalp. And then we're just chopping in this tighter range. And so you got to be real careful here. It doesn't really turn at consistent spots, so it's kind of hard to trade. We're just chopping up and down. Of course, you got your break and new low here, so now you got one working up. You get a close outside new high. It's tempting to enter there. I didn't mark it because it looks a little congested. Looking at it after the fact, I mean, it's just a double top really, and it's not even a consistent one. So I don't think you really want to take it. I mean, maybe if you want to be aggressive, you take that trade. I'd skip it. Turns out to be a good move, and we fail, and we go all the way down and test these lows. And now you got a triple test. I didn't mark this one. I should have at least marked it green, because it is a triple test on this lower. It's a failed breakout of this pink channel, but you can clearly see it's a 1, 2, 3 triple test there, and it's a really bullish bar. And you could have even entered it on the engulfing portion too, or you could wait for it to close. And it's a quick, easy move. You get a little correction, then it takes off again. So it's clearly 2 legs up. I didn't even measure it, but it looks like 2 measured legs. I mean, you can see there's 2 measured legs up there, and then it turns down. This does make a new high. It is a second entry again, though. I marked it green. It's a little late in the day. The odds are it's probably going to come back inside the range. But generally, when you make a new high that's much higher like that, if it wasn't for the fact it was 2 measured legs, I would probably tell you to skip that completely. But since it was clearly a second entry and 2 measured legs, and a failed breakout that far away from the EMA, maybe you just still go ahead and take that trade. Again, it's a little late in the day, so if you screw up here, you don't have time to make it back. So that's one reason you got to be a little more picky late in the afternoon like that, because it's real close to 2:30, and once 2:30 comes, you don't get much opportunity. So you don't want to have a loser there and not be able to make it back. So I didn't color this, so it may be a little harder to see. Let me color that. But you can see that range across there, the support and resistance. The support was fairly consistent. The resistance wasn't consistent at all, really. So you didn't really get much turn. I mean, once we went lower, we were really testing the lows more than we were the highs anyway. So there it is. A little more opportunity today than we had yesterday. We still had a big move up here without much chance to enter it. And it's just sad that we get these kind of breakouts. If you're really experienced, you could probably argue there's a couple more green ones in here. But for the majority of people, what you see here is what you get, and that's what you need to stick to. Otherwise, you're going to take some losses on a day like this, trying to be aggressive, trying to read into things, because it's just, I mean, it was pretty obvious we were going to go high here, and we talked about that because prices are probably going to try to fill the gap. We could have turned down here or here or here, and if that happened and we start trending lower, then you would have looked for a measured move down first. But when you come up and make a whole new high here for the day, then you're no longer looking for a measured move. If you're looking for one, it's to the upside, and you're possibly looking for a reversal back to the downside. So anyway, there it is. Not much more I can say about that. I do believe that Monday is Martin Luther King Day. I'm not sure if that's a trading holiday this year. It seems like it was last year. So just a heads up to look into that, because it may be a trading holiday Monday. If so, we won't do a chart lesson because the market will probably close at noon or whatever. So anyway, I'll figure that out between now and Friday, and we'll figure it now and Thursday, and we'll figure it out. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.